Welcome to our deep dive, everybody. Today we're taking a look at House of Leaves.
Oh, House of Leaves.
This book, it's one that really gets under your skin.
Yeah, it really does.
It's more than just a horror story, right?
It's about fear of the unknown, for sure.
And it messes with you
It really messes with
on like every level. The story itself,
Yeah,
but also like the way it's told.
the structure of it all.
Yeah, the structure. Like it's a book about a house, right?
Right.
But this house, well,
It's a house that's bigger on the inside than the outside.
yeah, like literally impossible.
Impossible.
And that's just the beginning of the weirdness. So,
You ready to get into it?
let's do it. So we start with this family, the Navidsons.
They're just moving into this new house.
Seemingly normal house.
On Ash Tree Lane.
Yeah, Ash Tree Lane.
Yeah.
Like a nice little street, right?
You'd think so, right.
But then things start to get strange. Little things at first.
A draft.
The kids saying their rooms feel bigger.
And then Will, the dad, he's a photojournalist.
Right.
He discovers this closet.
Right, closet.
Not on the blueprints.
Like it shouldn't even be there.
And it opens into this huge empty space.
That's like a void.
A void inside the house.
So naturally, Will, he starts documenting everything.
He's got to figure this out, right?
Yeah, he's a photojournalist. That's what he does.
So he sets up cameras, starts recording.
And this becomes like its own thing later.
Right, the Navidson record.
It's almost like he's trying to catch this.
Like catch this impossible truth.
Exactly. So we got this house, this weird space, but then
The house starts to like fight back almost.
it becomes dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Like how?
So there's this hallway, right?
Okay.
And it just keeps going.
Longer than it should be.
Way longer, like way beyond the outside walls of the house.
So it's like growing.
Yeah, and changing.
That's creepy.
And this is where Will, he brings in a team
To explore.
to explore. Holloway, Tom, Reston.
I remember them.
And they go deeper and deeper into this house.
I bet that doesn't go well.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Like what happens?
Well, you got to think about it.
Okay.
You're in this place, right? The structure itself, it's against you.
Yeah.
It's like it's feeding on your fear.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And Danielewski, the author, he does this thing
What?
with the text, the layout of the words.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Like the words themselves are part of the experience.
So you're not just reading about the house
You're like experiencing it.
through the way the words are on the page.
Exactly. Like you feel trapped too.
So the book, it becomes this labyrinth.
Just like the house.
So then what about the family? What happens to them?
Well, each character, they react differently to the house.
Like how?
Take Holloway, for example.
Yeah, what about him?
He gets obsessed with mapping the house.
Mapping it.
Yeah, he's going to make sense of it, you know?
I guess that makes sense.
But it isolates him, this obsession.
So the house, it's like
It's preying on them.
on their weaknesses.
Exactly. And then there's Johnny Truant.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting.
Right. We're just getting started.
He's the one who finds the manuscript, right?
Yeah, the Navidson record. He finds it after Zampano.
Zampano. Who's that?
He's like this mysterious editor.
Okay.
And Johnny, he gets sucked into this story.
It's like a story within a story.
Layers upon layers.
We'll have to dig into that more next time.
Oh, there's so much more to uncover.
Yeah, Johnny Truant, he's a whole other can of worms.
He is indeed. So Johnny Truant, right. He's, well, he's a mess.
Yeah, you can say that again.
And he finds this manuscript, the Navidson record,
Like stumbles upon it.
pretty much.
Okay.
After this guy, Zampano,
Okay, yeah, him, the editor.
and Johnny, he's like already kind of messed up.
Right, he's got his own issues going on.
But then he gets sucked into this story, this house.
And it's like his story becomes part of the story.
Exactly. It's another layer, another way of looking at the house.
So we're like reading about the house through his eyes.
Through his very unreliable eyes.
Right, because he's like kind of losing it. Right?
Yeah, he's not the most stable narrator.
His footnotes, they're all over the place.
Full of tangents, weird stuff.
Like glimpses into his own life, his anxieties.
Yeah, and you start to wonder, is it the house?
Is it affecting him? Like from the pages?
It's possible, right? Think about it.
Right.
The house, it's like this distorting force.
Yeah.
And Johnny's narration, it becomes distorted too.
So the book, it's not just telling the story
It's reflecting the story through Johnny.
and the way it's written. Like
A typography, all that stuff.
it's like it's messing with you too.
It's all part of the experience. Right?
Yeah, it's like you're getting lost in the book.
Just like the characters are getting lost in the house.
So you've got this parallel between Johnny and the Navidsons.
They're both dealing with this, like, isolation.
The family, they're trapped in the house.
And Johnny, he's trapped in his own head.
And this story and his obsession with it.
Right. And they're both trying to make sense of this thing.
This impossible thing.
That defies logic, that defies explanation.
And it's breaking them both in different ways.
That's what makes this book so powerful, you know?
It's not just about a haunted house.
It's about what happens when we confront the unknown.
When we come up against something we can't understand.
And how that can break us or change us.
Or both, probably.
Yeah, probably both. And then there's this whole thing about stories themselves.
Okay, what about stories?
Like, think about it.
Okay.
We only know about this house through the stories people tell.
Will's film, Zampano's notes, Johnny's ramblings.
It's like, can we even trust what we're reading?
Is any of it real? Or is it all just, like, interpretations?
That's the question, right? What is truth?
Yeah, it makes you think about how much we rely on stories.
To make sense of the world.
How easily those stories can be manipulated.
Or just unreliable.
Like Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got this impossible house, these broken characters.
And a whole lot of questions.
More questions than answers, that's for sure.
Is there even an ending to this, like a resolution?
Well, that's the thing about House of Leaves.
Right.
It doesn't really give you answers.
It just leaves you with, like, a feeling.
Yeah, a feeling of unease, of uncertainty.
Like the story ends, but it doesn't really end.
It sticks with you.
Like a nightmare.
Exactly. And it makes you question everything.
Reality, truth, stories.
Like even your own sanity, maybe?
Okay, that's a little creepy.
But that's House of Leaves for you.
It's a book that stays with you
And makes you think.
long after you've finished reading it.
Which is a good thing, right?
I guess so.
Uh-huh.
But where do we go from here? What's left to explore in part 3?
Okay, so we've spent like 2 whole parts now talking about this house, this book.
This crazy, messed up book.
And honestly, I'm still not sure I get it.
Yeah, that's the point, kind of.
So like, what's the takeaway here? What's it all about?
I mean, it's open to interpretation, right? That's the beauty of it.
But there's got to be something, some kind of meaning. Well, for me, it's about like facing the unknown.
The way the characters, they're all dealing with this impossible situation.
Yeah, and the reader too.
We're trying to make sense of it all, right along with them.
And the book, it doesn't give you any easy answers.
It just leaves you with this, like, unsettling feeling.
Like something's not quite right.
Like you're still lost in the house even after you've closed the book.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so powerful.
So it's like a horror story.
It's definitely got elements of horror.
But it's more than that, right?
It's about like the limits of our understanding.
How we try to make sense of the world through stories, through narratives.
And how those stories can sometimes fail us.
Or even mislead us.
Yeah, like think about Johnny Truant.
He's so caught up in the story, he loses his grip on reality.
And it makes you wonder how much of what we believe is actually true.
Or just a story we've been told, or told ourselves.
It's a scary thought.
It is. So, like, is this book saying that reality is, like, subjective?
Maybe. Or maybe it's saying that there are things out there
Beyond our comprehension.
that defy logic, that defy explanation.
And maybe that's okay.
Maybe not knowing is part of the human experience.
Maybe the mystery is what makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if we knew everything, life would be pretty boring.
True. So, House of Leaves, it's a book that challenges you.
It makes you think.
It makes you question everything
And it stays with you.
long after you finish reading it.
Which is, I think, the mark of a truly great book.
Yeah, it definitely got under my skin.
Me too. And I bet it'll get under yours too if you give it a chance.
But be warned, it's not an easy read.
It's a book that demands your attention.
It's a book that will mess with your head.
But in a good way, hopefully.
Yeah, in a good way. Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to cover on House of Leaves.
There's always more to explore, but this is a good start.
It is. So to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been...
Our wild ride.
It really has. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend checking out House of Leaves. But maybe don't read it alone at night.
Yeah, you might not sleep so well.
Okay. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.